common question I get from riders across multiple sports is, what should I eat on race day? And I get why. It can be confusing. Are you supposed to carb load? Is it better to have less food in your system so your body can perform better? What about just straight up fuel? What should I be eating for that?
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Mitch. Thanks for checking out another video. In today's video, I'm talking about race day eating. Now, in this video, I'm gonna show you the what, the why. I'm gonna give you a food plan to follow along with. This couldn't really be any easier for you. I take all the guesswork out of it. I've done all the work for you. It's completely free. I'm going to spoon feed you this stuff. No pun intended. Or, wait a second, is that a pun? Oh.
When you're discussing what to eat on a race day, you're really discussing what you should eat to get your body to perform at its peak. I think we can agree on that. And naturally, that would vary from person to person depending on your current fitness level. But luckily for us, all the fuel sources are the same no matter the person.
So when we're talking about race day fueling, what we need to talk about is elevating our heart rates to an elevated position above resting for an extended period of time. That's really what we're talking about here. And in order to do that, if you remember from a video that I did on the basics of fuel use and the respiratory exchange ratio, with your heart rate elevated for longer periods of time throughout the day, for motos, for long races, stuff like that, you're talking more about carbohydrates as a fuel. Now, yes, you will need protein, you will need fats, but specifically speaking, with an elevated heart rate, your body's burning glycogen. Glycogen comes from carbohydrates. So primarily, that's what we're looking for in terms of fuel.
So let's cover off our bases first. When it comes to water on training or racing days, you should aim to drink around 8 ounces of water every 15 to 20 minutes. That's about a cup every 15 to 20 minutes. Although it's not a hard and fast rule, generally speaking, more is better. So if you can drink more and hydrate more, that's a good thing. In fact, you should aim to drink around 20 ounces of water approximately 3 hours before your race. Then just keep up with hydration throughout the day. In fact, it's a good idea to carry a water bottle with you everywhere.
Now I'm going to put all the links below for all these tables, all this information. I've created all this stuff. It's all free to you. You don't need to memorize it from this video or even write it down. I've done all that for you. I'm going to get that to you. But my point is, hydration is very, very important. If you're not hydrated, unfortunately, not a whole lot else is going to matter in terms of fuel. So get your hydration in. Grab some BCAAs, our hydration fuel. It's gonna help big time when it comes to acute dehydration, which is what you get while you're racing. Get hydrated.
Water, hydrate, got it. Moving on. If it's carbohydrates that we're looking for, then what are some good sources for those carbohydrates and how much should we be having?
Now this is going to vary a lot depending on the person, depending on your height, your weight, your athletic level, your skills and abilities on the bike, what you normally have from day to day. So what I'm talking about here in this video is going to be very general, and I want to emphasize very general. However, that being said, as you're leading up to a race day or an intense day of exercise, something like that, you can add in a little more carbohydrates. So add in a slice of bread, maybe a handful of oats, something like that. Just slowly add them in. Now, you do not want to just hit your body with a tidal wave of this fuel source because it's not going to know what to do with it all, and it will store the excess stuff as fat. So don't just think it's a free-for-all because you're like, well, I got a race coming on the weekend. I can just hammer my body with a bunch of fuel. It's going to know what to do. It'll just keep it all there. It doesn't work that way. It's going to top up what it needs. It might store a tiny little extra. It's making sure that your glycogen stores are topped up, and the rest is just going to go to be stored as extra fuel for later, which means fat. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you try not to do it in terms of leading up to the race, and say you're like the morning of the race, you're like, I'm gonna carbo load. You get a big old bowl of pasta and you start piling back. Yeah, it doesn't work that way either. Because what's gonna happen is your body's gonna try and digest all of that fuel that you put in there, which also means it's drawing all the blood from all the surrounding areas, pulling it into your system to try and digest all of that. As you can imagine, that does not lead to performing very well on a bike because you need a ton of blood flow. So you're not going to perform as well, you're probably going to feel a little bit sick, and what you put in thinking that, oh, I've got all this fuel, it's not going to work out that way. So that's probably not a great idea either. So you want to try and do a sort of like a front end loading type thing, if that makes sense. So have it leading up to, so your body can process it properly. And the morning of, don't just hammer your system and blindside it with all this stuff thinking that that's the way to go. It doesn't work that way. Yes, you want to have some in the morning, but you do also want to give that time to digest before you have to get to your motos or to your race, whatever that's going to look like for you. Now, again, this is all very, very general. I'm talking numbers here. I do have it laid out in more detail in the link below. You can grab that, it's free. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about how much you should be having. Look to the tables that are provided to you. There's some meal plans to kind of sort all that out for you.
So we've got the water and the fuel source down. What about just generally eating? Is there something that you should be avoiding? Is there a timing piece to it all? Does it matter when I eat?
Absolutely it does. In the same way that you wouldn't put farm fuel in your race bike, you do not want to put junk food in your system and expect it to perform. It just doesn't work that way. All of the nutrients that you're getting from carbs, protein, fats, you want those to be from good sources, because not all calories are created equal. You can't go drive a McDonald's cheeseburger into your face thinking that it's going to have the same effect as a healthy breakfast does in terms of needing fuel. So here I've got an example of a breakfast. Again, this is in the link. I keep talking about it, but it's completely free. So here I've got an example of a breakfast. It's got quinoa, porridge, stevia, sea salt, a bunch of stuff in there, almond milk, some stuff that's really good for you in terms of a breakfast. All you have to do is completely follow along. So grab a copy of that book and just follow along for the entire week, the day of, that kind of stuff. It takes all the guesswork out of it. There's a bunch of meals and suggestions in there on things that you can eat. They're going to help you out quite a bit.
There can be a lot of things going on the race day. Now, one of the last things you should have to consider is the sometimes confusing and convoluted nutrition world. So if you need a little help or some guidance, we have you covered.
And look, I completely understand that. A lot of this stuff is confusing enough as it is, much less you have a bunch of people trying to muddy the waters. Trust me, I get it. I get it. I've been doing this for over 2 decades. I get it. I keep saying it. Grab it, the free thing from the link. It's all laid out for you. Literally, all you have to do is just follow through. It was co-written by a board-certified registered dietitian. She's amazing. She really knows what she's talking about. We co-authored this thing. It's 80 pages of fantastic information, a bunch of great stuff in there. All the guesswork is out of it. Grab it from the link. There's no catch. There's no gimmick. It's completely free. I'm just doing this because I know what it's like, and I figured you could probably use it. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. I hope this kind of sorts some stuff out. If not, it's all going to be explained in there. You can take all the time you need to read it. You can give it away. You can do whatever you want with it. It's completely free. Grab that. Hope you liked the video. Stay safe, ride safe, stay fueled up. Good luck on your race day. See you in the next video.